I was like, what?
Okay. How's everybody? Hello, family.
There.
Hello. How y'all doing? Okay, no one's talking.
Fantastic.
Can you? Oh, thank you, thank you.
All right.
On this Friday, and who is this I'm speaking with?
Well, good morning, Miss Paula. It's Marie Sturgill. I'm with the NARAB. I've met you several times at the conference in NARAB, and so it's good to be here. And I
Okay.
also am a part of the 100 Black Women National Coalition of 100 Black Women, so that's why you see that on there, because I'm on their Zoom, I guess. I didn't sign out of their Zoom the last time.
Okay.
So
Well,
I
I'm
wear many
glad
hats. All
to
right.
have the family here. I'm
Yeah.
going to stream this on Facebook. So just give me a second as I get everything organized. Turn off the phone, make sure we're all in alignment, and let's get the party started. Give me 1 second.
Might happen your cup.
I need someone.
I am hearing
the
some
phone.
background.
Can you
So
mute
unless you are
everybody?
speaking, if you can mute your phones, and welcome everybody. Good to see you all. Well, at least see your names. If you want to come off and come on camera, join us.
All right. Then you may just have to mute them manually if they're not muting. Well, happy Friday, everyone. I'm so excited for this webinar. The more I speak with our guests, the more excited I become, because this is knowledge. And as you know, it's all about knowledge. And the more we know, the better we all are. So welcome. As always, I like to start out with some housekeeping. Um, and before we jump into the presentation, just give me one more second. Right. As always, we are government procurement innovators. We love creating millionaires. We're all about the community. Make sure that you put your name, location, email, your areas of expertise, because as you know, I'm always talking about collaboration. We're more powerful.
My background
numbers.
noise. I'm in a
Yeah.
training session, but that's all right. I'm just have to listen in.
Hold on, Stacy.
Holly, you're on mute.
Okay. I'm having challenges. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Please make sure you put your information in the chat. We're all about community. We're always about collaborating and making sure that we can reach out to each other and go after these opportunities. Our next cohort will start August 27th. And Tansy Jones, who is the 34 years SBA expert as it relates to this space, will be doing that training. Please, those of you who have gone through the program and have benefited, share with the community. It's about power right now. It's about us collectively pooling our skill sets, our information, our knowledge base, and making sure we are getting into the game, because I feel like the tide is changing. That's just my personal opinion. But I'm happy to have Miss Arnett Mayhew here. And she's going to share information with us. And I'm always fascinated with things that I'm continuing to learn. Even though I've been in this space 30 plus years, it's important that we continue to learn and begin to understand how to play in this space. With that being said, I'm going to introduce Miss Arnett. Arnett, let me make sure we are recording. Arnett, please come online and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and how you began in this space.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Government Procurement Innovators, for inviting me to your event, and especially a shout out to Paula and Dina for reaching out to me. I really appreciate this. But again, my name is Arnett Mayhew. I am the Commercial Market Representative, for short, as CMR at the SBA Office of Government Contracting.
Right now.
And I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia, and actually, I have been working with the federal government in the procurement arena for over 20 years. Started out as a contract administrator, working in several federal agencies, and then I moved on to doing the pre-award process, which was being a contract specialist, and on to being a contracting officer for like 20 years.
Can we stop right there? Can we stop right there?
Yes, ma'am.
You were a contracting officer with the Department of Defense?
Yes, ma'am. I started out with the Defense Contract Management Agency as a contract administrator. First started working with in the office of DCMA Baltimore, Maryland. And I was administering contracts on the behalf of the federal government for those prime contractors and small businesses as well, located in the Washington, D.C. area. I was there for 5 years plus, and then I moved on to the Defense Contract Management Agency in Atlanta at Lockheed Martin, and I administered the C-5 aircraft contracts that they had with Lockheed. And from there, I moved on to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta as first a contract specialist, and then promoted to contracting officer. And I was there for over 6.5 years before deciding to go back to Maryland to work for the Department of Defense, working on a major weapon system with some very high prolific, other than small businesses, that had some sensitive information in regards to keeping the troops safe over in Iraq. And so I left from there and moved back to Atlanta, and I started working with the that's a very interesting agency, because what I didn't know about this particular agency as being a contract specialist there was that you know, they have hundreds and hundreds of national wildlife refuge, and they always award to small businesses. They always used to say, we like to give awards to the small mom and pop shops.
What agency was that? You got stuck?
I'm sorry.
The internet was stuck. What was the agency again?
U.S. Fish and Wildlife under the Department of Interior.
Okay.
And so that agency is all about awarding to small businesses. So we always set aside procurements for small businesses when we could. And in the aspect of construction, of course, we would have to go with the other than small businesses, but they were responsible for awarding to other small businesses in different specialty trades.
And what type of lines were they buying? What were you buying?
Oh my gosh. We were doing construction on a lot of the National Wildlife Refuge. And what a lot of people don't realize is the stuff that we buy is really to help the environment. So that particular agency has fish hatcheries. And they used to, little do you know, they grow fish for America. So it's not just the big companies. And so we used to procure everything that was needed for fish hatcheries, for the turtles, for the ducks. It may seem like something funny and crazy, but let me tell you, anything that was associated with the National Wildlife Refuge, we purchased supplies, services, and construction there. And I actually had to award to different, contractors within the 9 states and under the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and that included Arkansas. We always had a hard time finding small businesses to actually provide services and supplies in the state of Arkansas, which is one of our 9 states out of the 8 that we administered. So
why do you think that's the case? Why was that a challenge?
I don't think they really knew too much about, first of all, U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the different types of buys that they have. A lot of people don't realize that that particular agency, they will post any type of procurement that is $25,000 or less on connect.net. So that's where you would go to find some of your smaller buys, and you can win some of the awards. And so as I was working there, I realized not all of their procurements are that are small dollar are posted on sam.gov, but they also are on the connect.net.
Okay, I'm gonna put that in the chat, connect.net.
Yes, let me go into it right now. I'm sorry. Let me look this up.
And those are for buys that are 25,000 and less?
Uh-huh. Let me see. FedConnect.net. I'm sorry. FedConnect.
Okay. All right. FedConnect. All right. We're continuing with our story. Go ahead. Your screen froze again.
Paula. Okay. Yeah, I made sure I got on my work phone Wi-Fi so I would not be disconnected from you guys. So I said, let me make sure we don't have any disconnection whatsoever. But it's fedconnect.net. Okay. And other agencies post smaller buys there too. So a lot of, small businesses weren't aware, of some of the smaller buys that we have that they can go after, opportunities to win. And so, being a contracting officer, specialist, or administrator, we don't get the opportunity to really engage with small businesses like we would have, we would like to. But working at SBA, I get an opportunity to do just that and to share the knowledge and the skills and abilities that I have in order to connect small businesses with contract opportunities, including subcontracting opportunities. So
in your role as a contracting officer, you don't necessarily interact with businesses. Maybe
we
explain
do
that a little bit more detail for folks trying to get to the contracting officer. How do they get to you?
They can contact us through, the federal agencies. I would recommend they go to the small business, development centers, the OSTBU offices, and contact them to find out how to reach out to the contracting officers and specialists. Also, there are times when we get invited as a procurement officer to come to different, outreach events, seminars, and matchmaking. A lot of times you will find us there. And sometimes you can strike up a conversation and walk out of there with an opportunity just because you're present there and you're sharing with us what you can offer, to the federal government. We try to put out requests for information when we have,
Got stuck again.
Project a particular requirement. And sometimes by going to these events, sometimes we gather more information about your business by being there. But we're available for you to call us when we're contracting officers. It's just that we're under a time crunch. And I would say the best time to reach out to a contracting officer is really during the fall fall time frame. I would say first quarter, but fall and winter time frame, because at that point we haven't quite received our money for the budget to spend the money on issuing awards, issuing solicitations to do awards. So the best time to reach out to a contracting officer is in the fall. Now, I will say sometime in November, we haven't established a date, but SBA is working on Conversations with a Contracting Officer event in Atlanta, and we're trying to have that event at Morehouse College again. But we're going to do something a little different there, and you'll be able to interact with some of those different contracting officers that would be there.
One question, what are the do's and don'ts? What if I'm talking to you, I'm nervous. What are the do's and don'ts? If I get the opportunity to talk to you as a contracting officer about my business.
Oh, I would like for you to share with me, what you do, what's unique about your business. And I want you to kind of like do your research on why you contact this particular federal agency. I don't want you to say, look, for instance, I'm in Atlanta and we have some small businesses say, well, I want to contract with CDC, but do you know what CDC buys? And are you the business that can provide or support some of the efforts that CDC has? We don't necessarily just, when I worked at CDC, we didn't necessarily buy vaccines, but we also do research and development there, so if you are especially, a business that wouldn't mind doing patient enrollment and following after a patient to do a study, and hey, we used to give you money, to provide, patient enrollment fees to give to the patients, because we want you to do these different studies so we can learn more about diseases and, preventing certain diseases. That's just one aspect of that. So, there are certain things that you can buy, whether it's IT equipment or IT services. CDC buys a lot, but we want you to be able to go on our website, learn more about the different areas within CDC that we buy, because I'm going to tell you with CDC, they have, I have to say, probably about 50 different centers. And when I worked there, I worked for several centers. One of the centers that I worked for was, it was a consolidation of different things. It was the Center for Tuberculosis, the Center for HIV and AIDS, STD, viral hepatitis. So if you were talking with me, you would have had to do your research as to what kind of buys do I typically buy. But in that particular arena, I was in research and development. And so when it came to laboratory supplies, different things, supplies that you can buy. We also had some requirements which require small businesses to provide graphic design. We do a lot of marketing and graphic design. So you would want to also reach out to us in that aspect at CDC as well. I was just giving you some examples.
Do you, what are the do's and don'ts on these capability statements when you're looking at what's a standout capability statement for you as a contracting officer?
Well, I'm going to tell you the basic things. If we don't see on the capability statement, your business name, your unique entity ID number, used to be DUNS number, now it's unique entity ID number if it's not listed there. We want to see your points of contact, your email address, your phone number. Those are very important because a lot of times we do receive some of the capability statement flyers, and they're missing just that pertinent information. But we want you to be able to tell us what your business is and how you are different or unique from other businesses and how you can support our requirement. And when it comes to subcontracting opportunities, though, and since I work primarily with other than small businesses, they're looking for the same thing. They want you to be able to do your research on that company to find out what they buy and support and how they support the federal government. And they want you to be able to tailor your capability statement to that requirement. And that's the same for the federal government. If you don't tailor it, you will get feedback from that. I have referred some small businesses to other than small businesses that are required to have a subcontracting plan, and they were interested in doing subcontract work. And let me tell you, our liaison to that, other than small business, is a small business liaison officer of the plan. And they're the ones, they will come back and they will notify that small business and let them know, look, you're going to have to either streamline your capability statement, or you're going to have to revamp this in order to tailor it to our needs. And that's what you have to be able to do.
Okay, let's back up because we get in the government language.
Okay, sorry.
How do you understand how are you defining other than small business? You bring that up, and then you also brought up the small business liaison. And how do they interact with everybody?
Well, for other than small business, it is, it's a large business, but it's not just those billion-dollar companies that we're aware of that are for profit. That includes universities, that includes local and state governments that receive federal government contracts, and that includes educational institutions and hospitals as well. So they can be also a part of that other than small business. They are for profit, and they meet certain guidelines other than being small based upon their industry. And that industry is determined either by the amount of revenue or the number of employees as to what determines them to be large. And you can find that information out on SBA.gov at the SBA size table. And it would determine what would make a business be small. And, you would eventually know what would be large. But we say other than small business because it doesn't just include large companies. It includes hospitals, educational institutions. It includes, nonprofit organizations as well. They do go after opportunities as well. Just to give you an example, Goodwill Industries, they are considered an other than small business. They provide, one of my Goodwill Industry companies provides leasing opportunities. Okay, they have a leasing contract with GSA, but they also are required to provide subcontracting opportunities as a result of having a subcontracting plan. Now, when it comes to a small business liaison officer, they are our equal when it comes to the CMRs or the commercial market representatives interacting with the industry. So they are our counterparts. We are the ones who we connect with them. We are the ones who work with them closely in order for them to become compliant with the subcontracting plan.
So they federal agencies or everybody that's other than small business have a small business liaison that you're interacting with?
Yes, ma'am. When they're required to have a subcontracting plan, they are required to have an administrator of that plan. And they're supposed to afford small businesses an equitable opportunity to subcontract. And they're required to submit required reports, because that's part of the requirement of having the plan.
Okay, that's good information. So if let's back up even. This is good. Got my mind going. So let's define your role as a commercial marketing representative and with SBA, and what do you actually do? Because as I say, you all are the best kept secret. No one even knows about you.
I'm actually not the best kept secret, but I am the CMR that works behind the scene for small businesses. We are the ones that you have heard of. My colleague, procurement center representatives, they work with the federal agencies to make sure that requirements are set aside for small businesses when they go to publish, solicitations and requests for quotes. But we're the ones that once an other than small business receive a contract valued over $750,000 if it's a supply or service contract, or if it's construction of $1.5 million, they are required to have a subcontracting plan. And that plan will contain 15 mandatory elements in which that other than small business is required to comply with the plan. Part of the reason for that plan is they're supposed to be providing fair and equitable opportunities to small businesses throughout the life of that contract. And what we do as commercial market representatives is we go out and we perform compliance reviews of those subcontracting plans to ensure that the other than small businesses are affording subcontracting opportunities to small businesses, and they're also making a good faith effort to do whatever is necessary to increase those small business subcontracting goals. So, primarily as a commercial market representative, we conduct compliance reviews over these companies with a plan. We do different types of reviews. We do a full-blown compliance review, which involves us going on site and looking at all of the subcontract awards that they have awarded to their small businesses. We want to make sure that they have awarded these contracts to the small businesses, and that when they go to report in our electronic subcontracting database of those goals that they establish in the plan, where they're planning to meet so much a percentage in different socioeconomic categories, that they're actually accounting for that particular, subcontracting dollars. So if they say that, hey, we awarded 5%, I'm just saying, for example, to woman-owned small businesses, it may be like $250,000 maybe for one reporting period for woman-owned small businesses. And if I'm evaluating their reports for that particular period, I'm going to be looking at all of those subcontracts that are marked woman-owned small business. And I'm going to make sure that they are allocating or verifying that this is what they established. There are several things that we look at to make sure that they're complying with the plan. They are quite surprised that when we do come on site, because we're like the police officers, we go behind and we make sure that they're compliant. SBA has instilled in us to make sure that they're held accountable to, making sure opportunities are available to small businesses. We're there to also provide training to them in case they are not aware of their responsibilities regarding the plan requirements. And if there's any problems with any of the subcontractors that are working on any of their contracts, we're here as advocates to help resolve the problem. Little do you know, if you ever become a small business subcontractor to other than small business that has a subcontracting plan, you have some pretty good rights as a small business. If you have payment issues with that prime, we call it prime contractor 2 for short, other than small business, you're welcome to reach out to your local CMR in that particular region. We actually have about 7 full-time CMRs nationwide, and they can be found on SBA.gov for your particular area. If you are working for a company that is headquartered in my area, please don't hesitate to reach out to me in case you have any kind of payment issues, or you were considered as part of the subcontracting plan to provide subcontract work, and the contractor, the other than small business won the award, but then later as the contract has started and they drop you from the plan, you have every right to come to the CMR, because that is a violation of not making a good faith effort. And then we will get involved as well. You also
pretty common. That's pretty common. So what are the challenges that your client base have in obtaining, or do they have challenges in meeting their goals, or what are they saying about small businesses and being able to work with them?
Let me just say this, because we're on the ground, and when I say boots on the ground, and we're conducting these reviews, They are very much aware of everything because they know that if they do not meet their goals, they are required to provide a corrective action plan once we have cited those deficiencies, and especially with not meeting their goals as well. We will go back within 12 months and do another review based upon the corrective actions that they stated they have taken and have improved the program. And so we will reassess them again. Each one of these reviews, especially the full-blown subcontracting program compliance reviews, come with the rating assessment. And that rating, along with a full report, does get reported to the CEO of the company. And let me tell you, it does impact the agency or the company because the CEO is worried about the credibility of their company. They're worried about receiving future contracts. They're worried about being barred from receiving any contracts because of making a bad faith effort and not providing opportunities to small businesses. We find that after our reviews, they end up plussing up their manpower. They ended up hiring enough people. They end up posting on the website different areas for small businesses to go on their website to register and become a small business supplier. They start getting involved and start having different types of outreach and matchmaking events. We find that they start doing a lot of things that they never thought about doing until we do our review because, some of the areas in which they're supposed to be making a good faith effort, those are listed in the Federal Acquisition Regulation. It tells them what they need to do in order to make a good faith effort. And you can also go to that particular area in the FAR, and I'll give that information out to you, which is FAR Part 19.705-7. Those list all those good faith efforts that they're supposed to follow. They're supposed to be able to break out work in order to provide more opportunities to small businesses. If they're not meeting those goals, that is what we're here for. We're here to help them to be able to meet their goals. We've had a lot of other than small businesses come to us once they realize who we are and what we do. And they do, yes. Yes, we are. We are like the Popo. So we're working behind the scenes really to help small businesses win subcontract awards. And they also try to mirror some of the things that SBA do, and then, it's interesting. You have one company, I'm not going to really name the name, but they started doing a small business subcontractor of the year award. So now they're beginning to recognize their outstanding efforts that small businesses provide to their company, and they put on a big event for that. And it's really a good thing because that's one step or one way that they can make a good faith effort. I found that one other company, when I was conducting the compliance review, they provide small business loans to your small businesses within that local area. So it's pretty interesting. And now they want to expand that local area now and do it for the entire state, all because of SBA CMR presence and conducting these reviews and informing them how important it is. And if they don't meet those goals, they can be assessed liquidated damages. That's right. That report goes to the contracting officer, to the small business development, a small OSTBU office as well. And it goes to the CEO of the company. And for every rating that a company receives, it does get reported by SBA onto Congress. It gets a lot of exposure. Even though, a lot of people don't know what we're doing behind the scenes, we actually make sure that they're following the requirements of the plan. And then we come back and follow up and make sure that they are doing it.
Is that public information? Can you go in and look at any reports that have been produced, like GAO, they produce reports?
You can request a copy of the report. They may, redact a lot of the information because some of the information we put in the report is proprietary because we're referencing certain subcontract awards that have been made, and so sometimes it involves some confidential information that they do provide. But we do request copies of their payment invoices for those subcontract awards as well. To we're assessing a full year, and when you're dealing with a $1 billion company, and they're providing you with a listing of 8,500 subcontract awards, I'm going through each of those and I'm pulling out all the ones that have been awarded to the different social economic categories, such as veteran-owned small business, woman-owned small business, hub zone, small disadvantaged business. So if you're an 8A business, you're considered a small disadvantaged business, So we're looking at all of the stats. We're looking at the subawards, the payment invoices. We're looking at how they procure opportunities, how they procure, awards with those small businesses as well. We want to see how they go about publishing those. We want to make sure that they assign the industry classification on the work or for the purpose of the work that they're procuring. It's a lot that they have to do. Maybe something that you did not know is they do have, other than small businesses, or large subcontractors that are subcontracting under them as a prime contractor. You can also reach out to them to find out, hey, if I can't become a small business subcontractor to you as a prime contractor or other than small business, what about some of your large or prime other than small business subcontractors that have received awards from you? One of the things we ask for, which we find that a lot of companies are deficient in, is the if not, why not? And they're like, what is that? But they should be familiar with these regulations because these are tied to their contract. But as a part of that regulation, the area of if not, why not always seem to catch each and every company. That is if this happens when anytime they award to a other than small business that is a subcontractor on any of their federal contracts, that if it's more than $250,000, they're supposed to state in their contract file, whether it's electronic or on file, why they did not set aside the requirement for 6 of the social economic categories that we're reviewing for. And they don't just say, oh, we didn't do to a woman-owned small business. They have to state why and what was the reason. It has to be documented in the file.
So one other quick question. Is that why the MBEs, DBEs, all those certifications, does that sort of tie into their funding from the government? And that's why they created those programs for that purpose, to meet those goals?
Well, let me just say the MDEs and the other certifications, if they're not the woman-owned small business, because those are more state and local certifications, but we only deal with the federal certifications, which is the woman-owned small business, the hub zone, and so forth.
But I was saying the corporations created those certifications because the dollars are still coming from the federal, and they still have to meet certain goals because they're receiving federal dollars, correct?
Correct. But when it comes to the subcontracting plan against the federal contract, they are required to provide, there are 2 ways they can certify small business. They can check through sam.gov using those certifications out of there, or they can use their own self-certification that's issued by the company. And they will list those different social economic categories there, as including state and local. But the ones that apply to the subcontracting plans are the woman-owned small business, veteran-owned small business, hub zone, small business itself. Even if they're a small business, regardless of the local certifications, they still get credit, for those small businesses as well. I try my best to help them. A lot of them do their own market research, but we try to remind them that Dynamic Small Business Search, DSBS, is available for them to conduct market research. because our federal contracting officers use that exclusively to find small businesses as well. But one thing that they are required to do when it comes to HubZone, they must use SAM.gov or DSBS, Dynamic Small Business Search, to make sure that that company is HubZone certified. As a matter of fact, some of these companies are really, really working also with our Apex accelerators as well, including our Small Business Development Center as well. We all work together to help small businesses win opportunities. I had another company that is located in a HubZone designated area, and after conducting my compliance review, and I informed them that, hey, did you know that there's a local Apex Accelerator office here? And I noticed that you have some small businesses that are residing in a HubZone designated area. Do you realize that you can help them, with attaining their HubZone certification? And you can work closely with the Apex Accelerator to obtain that certification. Because little do small businesses know that the more that they offer subcontracting opportunities to businesses that have more than one socioeconomic category, they get credit for each one of those, and they can report that in our electronic database to show that we've met our woman-owned small business. If it's a woman-owned small business, they get credit for a small business, woman-owned small business. If they happen to be another socioeconomic category, they can count the credit more than one time. So, you have any more questions? Okay. Okay.
Because a lot of times, I think people are truly confused of the role of SBA and what SBA do. I love the mission. I'm a part of it on all sides. But SBA is one of the smallest agencies, and it's independent agency. So you guys are really, really stretched in trying to cover all of these businesses, not only in a specific state, it's across multiple states. So you're responsible for corporations across multiple states.
Yes, each CMR has a particular region. So I'm located in the Southeast region. My office is located in Atlanta, Georgia, but I have a portfolio of other than small businesses in the states of North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. So I have 8 states of contractors that are headquartered in my area that I'm responsible for. Even though they may be doing work in another location, I'm responsible for those that are headquartered in my area, and so forth for the other CMRs as well. And those locations are on the website as well.
I'm going to show that. I'm showing this is on the website where you find the areas and the agencies that they're responsible for. And so all of these located at SBA, like the PCRs, which is your counterpart, are located mostly at the agencies or where?
Well, it depends. Some are located at they're typically located with the federal agencies. We also have a PCR in the Atlanta office that are located in our Office of Government Contracting, but they do handle different federal agencies.
And so all these states that that's a lot. With how many?
It is.
Looks like 2 people.
Yes, that's my backup, Dr. Gary Hurd. Yes, yes.
And then yesterday, and I was also talking to another SBA colleague, Tansy, and you shared something that I was like, I've never even seen this. We know about subnet, and we're training people on the subnet, but I wanted to share this as part of the training, and you walked me through getting to this space. And here is still under SBA, and you're looking at federal contracting. And then we went to what? Contracting guide.
Yes.
And then that takes you
Oh,
to,
wait. Go back up to the top. I'm sorry. Go up to top. Federal contracting, yes. Okay.
and then
And
contracting guide.
guide, yes.
And then we go down
It
to
looks so different. Yeah. Prime and subcontracting. Yes.
learn about prime and subcontracting. You talked about the small business size table. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about the rules and responsibility. But
Mm-hmm.
here, I've never seen this website where you can actually go on and look at who has subcontracting plans.
That is correct. And you would go under the awards section, awards for small business subcontracting plan.
So I'm clicking here, and that's taking me to an Excel spreadsheet
Mm-hmm.
that actually outlines who has received who has to have a subcontracting plan. So looking at this, and this is all pulled from the federal procurement data system. And I asked you, and it shows the agencies, the office, it gives you the procurement identity. Got too much. I'm trying to close this out. Okay. The vendors, who has the subcontracting plan, the industry codes,
Yes.
and if they have a parent company. Who would have thought 3D, some of these companies. And then again, you have the industry codes, but over here, I was not quite sure about where it identifies the
Different.
subcontracting plan.
Yeah, they have two different types of plan that are commonly awarded or approved by the contracting officer. So if it's an individual subcontracting plan, for example, if it's one particular contract that is awarded by a federal agency over the dollar threshold that's required to have a plan, a lot of times the agency will allow the company to submit an individual subcontracting plan. I'm not going to name the name of the company, but there's this particular company that provides prison detail for for the U.S. Marshal Office or U.S. Marshal Service, and so the work is performed at a prison facility, but they only receive one contract, and it's valued over the $750,000 threshold, and so they have submitted an individual subcontracting plan. The amount of subcontracting dollars that they expect to expend to the different socioeconomic categories throughout the contract process. For a commercial subcontracting plan, those are typically more of your billion-dollar contracts in which they have different divisions within those companies. They're pretty large, and they have received multiple contracts awards across different federal agencies. And not only that, but most of their dollars are really provided from the private sector. For example, when you're talking about an airline company, they only get a percentage of federal government dollars from us, but the majority of their profit comes from the private sector. And so you can't really segregate, like for instance, military travel from, personal travel or leisure travel that everyday customers who are flying on airlines every day. So they will provide an overall comprehensive plan of all of their dollars that's going to be expended because they can't segregate those two different categories.
So, because I'm looking at this one company, they're pretty large, and they're doing a lot of the soft services, what I call. So you can take this information and actually begin to reach out to them because I did see agency or company's name.
Yes, that,
In that dialogue to how to get on their subcontracting plan.
even though a company may be headquartered in one location, it does list on this Excel spreadsheet that the work may be performed somewhere else. So if you're located in the area where the work is performed, by all means, you can, reach out to them. One of the things that you can do in case you say, you find out that, hey, I want to do business with a particular company, and you find out this, it tells you the vendor state address, which is listed in column I. So if you find out where they're located, and let's say they're located in area 1, maybe Boston, Massachusetts, but they may be performing work in Georgia, you can reach out to that commercial market representative in area 1 where the company is headquartered, and they should be able to provide you with a contact name, telephone number, email address for you to reach out and connect with them. What I try to do when I have, time affords me to do that, if I do receive emails and calls, sometime I will provide that information to them, but sometimes I'll reach out to that company because I do get responses back from small businesses saying, I can't seem to get to someone. That may be because sometimes the personnel that are in these positions, they do get promoted and they do move around a lot, and that may be the reason why we didn't include the names and telephone numbers. But we have a way of interacting with the corporation with finding out who is the person responsible for administering the contract, even though someone may have vacated from the position. And then I will inform them that, we have some small businesses that are interested in subbing, with your company. How can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you? I need a point of contact, a telephone number, email, I need a name. And that's what I kind of do behind the scenes. I know I do that for some of the small businesses that are here in my area who feel like, hey, I need additional assistance because I'm not getting anywhere. So I try to interact or engage with those companies to make sure they engage back with small businesses. I try my best to follow up, but because I receive 50 to 100 emails quite often and calls, I do get back with people as much as possible. It may be a while because a lot of times I'm out on the road. So if you're in my area and I haven't responded back, continue to follow up. Continue to reach out to me, and I'll do my best to reply back. I like engaging with small businesses, and I like to help them to either win subcontracts or even try to go after prime contracts, because I do have some connections with some of my federal agencies that I worked for in the past, and I continue to network with not only the primes but also with federal agencies as well, to continue to collaborate and work together to make sure small businesses get a piece of the pie. And since you brought up Subnet, Paula, I just want to say that we've cleaned up the subcontracting network database. So we've heard everyone's cries about it's so much stuff out there. They're advertising. They don't really have any opportunities. The opportunities you do see may not be as much as it used to be, but these small businesses, including local and state governments, they are requesting access through our subcontracting program manager to request access to publish actual opportunities. They're leaving their information out there as well. For example, the one that you brought up from Georgia, there's a company on there called American Roll-On, Roll-Off Carrier. They're looking for transporters left and right for those particular areas. I have talked with the actual small business, liaison officer that manages their plan. And sometimes, and they do leave their information out there for you to contact them directly. But if you see something that, you're interested in that you don't see available, just let me know as much as possible. We do get email notifications from some other than small businesses that, sometimes they don't have the time or don't want to necessarily utilize subnet. But
Okay.
what I typically do, if it's a particular industry that they're looking for, I will go into DSBS, Dynamic Small Business Search, and pull up those particular small businesses for which they're seeking, and then I'll send out that publication via email.
And the business directory, how effective is that as well?
Yeah.
And what is that?
Oh, the business directory lists all of those businesses that are registered in that particular area.
Small businesses. So
And
small,
you can click on, yes. There are businesses that have opportunities available. There are no longer any advertisements from any other company. You can also go into advanced search at the top, and you can search by the industry classification code.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
hmm
And can small businesses upload their information into this database if they are trying to position themselves for the large contractors?
Do we no longer accept those if they're trying to reach out to them? But we allow those businesses that are looking for small businesses to subcontract to publish. They have to send an email to the SBA Subcontracting Manager for access, and they have to show that they have actual announcements. Because we want to, provide opportunity to those that are looking in. And let me tell you, other than small businesses, we do training once a month with the other than small businesses that have plans. Sometimes we have from 500 to 700 companies on our training that we do on second Wednesday. It's only open to those other than small businesses that have a plan because they need training. They need to understand what they're required to do, and they need to find out how that they can increase their small business goals. And so each of us as CMRs, we conduct a monthly training to them as well to help them to remain compliant and to make sure that they're making a good faith effort with affording small businesses fair and equitable opportunities to win subcontract work.
Okay, we are 4 minutes down and we've covered a whole lot of territory. I'm going to open the phone up to anyone that may have a question. Anybody? I did see a question in the chat. Is the SBA connected to the the Georgia Marketplace at all, or is this a totally separate entity?
It's a different entity, but you're welcome to reach out to our Apex accelerators who are very connected with local and state opportunities as well.
Okay. Anybody? Well, can someone give me a takeaway? You know, I always like to ask about takeaways.
Oh, somebody asked, how can we do that? I see that. Or
The Apex, Denise, you can put the Apex information in there.
okay.
And again, we are having our next cohort starting August 27th. Our goal is to, again, eliminate the mystery, speak the language. So part of our training is that we do talk about your role. So for me, now I'm bringing the real person that actually is in that role that can actually speak to our students on how you connect in this space. So no one has any questions? Can you all give her a hand or let me get some feedback from the class.
Oh, Savannah has a question.
Yes, I was going to say that. Miss Savannah, you're up.
Hey, good afternoon. This was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'm a sign language interpreter. Hey, everybody. My name is Savannah Green. I don't know. My hair look crazy, but I put my video on. Let me see. I look a little crazy, but this is me. Hey, y'all. So this was a really, really good great event, great conversation, especially for people like me who have written so many. I've written so many RFQs, things like that, and never got awarded as a small business owner, as a small business woman owner. So being able to be never gotten any federal contracts, and somebody who's written them and tried over and over again. So hopefully, with some of these liaisons, some of these programs that you have discussed on here today, I'd be able to reach out and hopefully I can get some help, because it is frustrating to be a small business owner. And it's super frustrating to be a small business owner, especially someone like me, like that provides languages for education, for conferences. After COVID, you know what I mean? I have a list of interpreters that are always ready to work and things like that. And being a small business owner here in Georgia, and just knowing some of your counterparts aren't, women owned, Black owned, things like that. And knowing that there's contracts set aside for small business owners, women owned, disadvantaged markets, things like that, and not being able to be awarded any of those things is very, very frustrating. I would say I'm probably on my 5th RFP right now.
That's all right.
So this was great. This was beautiful. If I can get somebody's contact information, that would be amazing.
I have a question for you, Savannah. Where have you applied for opportunity?
At the Georgia Marketplace.
That's the only place? Okay.
That is the only place, because when you do Gwinnett County, you have to pay for their service monthly.
Oh.
There's like Gwinnett County's local government. It's through a third party, and you have to pay. And as a single mom, I'm a single mom of 2. I've just a lot of things since COVID. Things have been really hard on me and my kids. So, a lot of times, just like Grady, Grady has a vendor mate that you got to pay like 100 something for. Gwinnett is, you have to pay something monthly. So, that's where I've only really applied to things that I can apply for freely without having to, incur a cost,
So Savannah, are you saying you're only applying to state and local government? Because it doesn't sound like you're applying to federal government. Because it's free.
Right. So I don't really know how to as much. And then you kind of get discouraged, because you're not, nobody's noticing you even on the state level. So you kind of get discouraged, and you're kind of like, all right, let me go back and get a regular job, because you don't understand what's going on,
Let me get a feedback to everyone on this. And part of the reason that we created what we created with GPI. It's different strategies. It's not just about submitting bids. Because when you submit these bids, you're going to have to be able to financially fund those bids before you get paid. So that's why, for me, it was important that we bring in other strategies, maybe working with a subcontractor, right? As a subcontractor might be the best pathway, as opposed to trying to go in and getting receiving direct awards. Do my SBA people confirm with that?
Yes, yes. I don't know whether Savannah's registered with sam.gov, and she's ready to do, federal government contracting, but there are some agencies out there that does, that do have a need for that type of work. So
how do we get that information? How do we,
you
know
can
what I mean?
visit GPI win, and I'll have an information session that goes into more depth, but we are at the end of this.
Yes.
And I do.
Miss Mayhew, is your contact information in here? I know you get a lot of information, or is there someone, the liaison, that you can point us in the direction of for some questions? Being that I know you're probably super, like, I know everybody comes to you. Do you have an assistant, or is there someone?
Do not. I am the assistant, and I am the assistant. I'm sorry, but yes, you know, I can always put you on the calendar, but you know, you might want to talk to Paula. Paula, if you want to talk to me
Yes.
after having a conversation with
Yes.
Savannah,
Yes.
then I can provide
Yes.
some input. And it's good to hear that Joyce Thurman is on the line.
And Joyce is her counterpart.
my
Please see her.
former supervisor. I love her.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for
Yes.
joining us on this Friday. I hope you all got a lot out of this. I got a lot of it out of it. And just keep our eyes on the prize. Just keep pushing. Don't give up. This is real. Try to get it from every which way that you can. And then I thank you. Thank you again, Arnett.
Yes,
Oh, you're welcome.
And be sure to visit GPI Win, GPI Government Procurement Innovators Win.com. It's in the chat. We're getting ready to close out. So go to the chat and snatch up what you can. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
I'm
Thank
sorry, I have
you.
one more question. Will you be sending this email out to the partners in that got the link already? I meant, will you be sending the recording out?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
You're welcome so much. Thank you, Ms. Green. And goodbye for now. Make it a wonderful winning weekend.